Ram Krishna Hari. We seek blessings at the feet of Lord Vitthal and all the Varkari saints before we continue with the narration of Sant Muktabai Charitra. We offer a special prayer at the feet of Jnaneshwar Mauli Maharaj. अलंकापुरी पुण्य भूमि पवित्र जिथे नांदतो ज्ञान राजा सुपात्र तया आठविता महापुण्य राशी नमस्कार माझा श्री सद्गुरु ज्ञानेश्वरासी. Which means, O great saint of Alankapuri or Alandi, the moment we remember you, you shower your grace and blessings on us. We offer our namaskars at your feet. So, seeking the blessings of this great saint, we continue. In the previous section, we saw how Vitthal Pant and Rukmini gave up their lives as a part of punishment so that their children could face better days, as was promised by the Brahmin Council of Apegaon. But back home here at Apegaon, things were no different. The children had to face even more miserable days. To give a few instances, they did not even have mud vessels in which they could cook their food, or they could even store water. Historians and learned scholars tell us that there are evidences of how water would be stored by Muktai in the base of a pumpkin. After you scrape out the pumpkin vegetable or the fruit, whatever base, hardened base that remains in that, water would be filled because they had no vessels. They would drink water from the coconut shell, an empty coconut shell. Their clothes were nothing but just tatters and rags. No one bothered about them. No one cared for them. In spite of that, they never gave up because they knew they had come here for a greater cause. Nivritinath had already meted out certain roles to the four of them. He said that he and Jnandev would go to the village and ask for bhiksha in the form of dry food grains. They would never accept cooked food from anyone. Whereas Sopandev would remain at home and take care of Muktai. There were days when they did not get even a grain as bhiksha. They managed with just a little bit of water, and the happiness was that they were all together. They were so connected to each other that you cannot talk about one of them without mentioning the other three. One day Jnandev asked Nivritinath, Dada, our parents did Dehant Prayashit, that is, they ended up their lives at the promise that we would be given the Shuddhi Karan Patra, that is, the purification certificate, that we would be allowed to have our sacred thread ceremony done, and we would be allowed to enter into the fold of the Brahmin community. It's been quite some time that our parents have gone, but we have not done anything further regarding that. So is it not necessary that we go to Alandi and check with the Brahmin community there whether we would be accepted there at least, because Apegaon Brahmins did not show any interest in solving this issue at all. Nivritinath agreed, and the four of them left for Alandi. Fortunately, they had a few relatives who did bother a little about them, and with their help, they approached the Brahmin Council of Alandi. These orthodox and very scripture-oriented Brahmins said that you would have to go to Paithan, because Paithan is a place where all such decisions about scriptural decisions are taken. We'll give you a letter, you can show it to the Brahmin Council at Paithan, and then whatever they decide will be seen later on. The brothers agreed to this particular idea. The Arandi Brahmin Council had written a letter to the Paithan Brahmin Council. Paithan is very famous for two things. One, for Sant Eknath Maharaj, and second, for certain textile industries at the present moment. Now these brothers went with this, and of course Muktai went with this letter from the Arandi Brahmin Council all the way to Paithan, and they presented this letter to the head of the Brahmin Council of Paithan. After reading the letter, he said that he would have to call a conference of all the learned scholars, and after that it would be decided. The moment they said that, the brothers did not object to anything. Muktabai was, as what we had said in the earlier episode also, that she was a little caustic in tongue. But Nivruttinath had given her a strict warning that she should not open her mouth till he had asked her to do so. So she was quiet, but she could understand that the Brahmin council was completely ridiculing them. The next day, all the learned scholars, people who had mastered the scriptures, the Vedas, all of them gathered and assembled together at Paithan Brahmin Council. These four were made to stand at the center, and surrounding them was this council. Imagine four children whose ages are ranging from roughly about 5-6 years old to about 11 to 13 years old. These children are made to stand in the center, and there is an entire community which is jeering at them, ridiculing them for being children of a sannyasi. Some of them spared no effort in giving them abuses. They said they hurled abuses at the parents. They called Vitthal Pant to be a very lustful man, and one of them even went to the extent of saying that it must have been his lustful desire to come back to his wife, that the Guru Ramanand Swami had told him to completely strip him of the sannyas ashram. So if you see, these children were hearing all possible abuses about their parents, so many accusations, but they did not say a word. All three of them looked at their elder brother Nivruttinath and kept silent. This was the scene which was at Paithan. The letter which the Arandi Brahmin Council had written was even worse than the statements which were meted out to these children by the people who had assembled there. But still at Paithan, there were a group of noble scholars who felt that whatever was the wrongdoing of Vitthal Pant, he had already repented for it and he was punished for it. So why punish the children now? What has gone has gone. So let bygones be bygones. Let these children be given the Shuddhi Patra, that is, let them be given the sacred thread ceremony, let it be conferred on them, and we accept them in our fold. Of course, this was a very small group of noble scholars. The others jeered at them, and there were a lot of people who spared no effort in insulting and humiliating these four children. It so happened, now this is a very important incident, that one of the Brahmins asked the three brothers, why do you think we should give you permission for the sacred thread ceremony? So Nivruttinath said, it is not that we need purification for such a certain reason, because we know we are already pure. But the scriptures demand that if you need to continue your progress into your spirituality, you need to have certain terms and conditions, and this sacred thread ceremony happens to be one of them for Brahmin boys like us. Nyandev Maharaj said a very important thing. He said everywhere is the same Atma. So all over, it is the same Atma which permeates into each one of us, all living entities, be it birds, animals, or even human beings. So I see myself in you, I see you in me, so we are all one. This shows that Jnanadev Mauli was a philosopher from the Advait branch, non-dualism. He believed in oneness. Hearing this, one of a very sly and wicked Brahmins asked him, is it so? So you mean to say that you have already known everything about Atma, that is a soul, and the soul is one, and we are all linked together, all this you know? Who taught you all this? Maybe one day your sannyasi father must have spoken something and you must have picked up those words and you're just rattling it off. What experience do you have about it? Jnanadev Mauli was very silent and he said, whatever you want me to prove, that all of us are one, I can prove it to you. He said, is it so? The Brahmin called a passerby who was going with a male buffalo and he said, come here with your buffalo. He asked Jnanadev Mauli, do you think you and this buffalo are one? Mauli said, yes, of course we are one. We have the same Atma in us. He said, can you prove it? He said, of course. The sly Brahmin asked the owner of the buffalo to whip him 3 times on its body. The moment he did it, 3 very strong marks came on the body of Jnanadev Mauli. They were red and bleeding. People who were there were taken aback to see that the buffalo was being whipped, but the entire marks and the pain and the bleeding was taking place on Jnanadev Mauli. So he said that, is this enough proof for you that the buffalo and I are one? This silenced that man for some time, but there was another sly person who came up with another suggestion. It seems the buffalo is also named Jnanadev. Just because someone has a name Jnanadev, does it make him wise? Like I know, he says, the second Brahmin says, I know a man who's called Raja, but he is doing nothing but collecting garbage. So you mean to say just because your name is Jnanadev, you have become a learned one, a wise one? Mauli said nothing like that. Even this buffalo can recite all the Vedas. This again made the people who had gathered there, they were taken aback. So he said, I'll prove it to you. He went near the buffalo, placed his hand on its head and said, Jnanba, recite the Rigved Ruchas. Rucha is a chapter. The name of any chapter is called as a Rucha. So he gave a specific chapter to be recited. The buffalo started with an Omkar and went into complete recitation of the Rigvedic chants. The people who had gathered there were 100% assured that these 4 brethren were no ordinary souls. There was something divine about them. They all accepted that actually they required no sacred thread ceremony or purification certificate because they were already pure. Many of them prostrated at the feet of Jnanadev, and all of them were so happy to see that these children at such a young age were actually incarnations of the 3, that is a Trinity, and the Maya, that is Adi Maya. Now one thing should be mentioned here. We keep saying Muktabai is Adi Maya. There are different types of Maya. You have Vaishnavi Maya, you have Daivi Maya, you have even Asuri Maya. But she is beyond all that. So that is why she is called Adi Maya or Adi Shakti. So people were overjoyed and they happily picked up these children because they were very small, and they went out with chorus and chants of, praising them, glorifying them. These two instances were enough for the Brahmin Council of Paithan to be assured that these children could be definitely included in the Brahmin fold. Further, when these children come back to Arandi, does the community at Arandi accept them or not is what is to be seen. Till then, Ram Krishna Hari.